You've worked hard to build a high-performing team. Trust is strong, productivity is up, people are engaged. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Good is not safe. It's actually when your team is most vulnerable. Why? Well, because nothing in nature stays the same, and neither do your teams. Everything is either growing or decaying. There is no neutral. And today, I'm going to show you how to recognize the hidden dangers and, more importantly, what to do before it becomes a problem. Hey, I'm Alex Tremble, CEO of GPS Leadership Solutions, executive coach, and organizational psychologist. Over the last decade, I've helped top performing teams inside Fortune 500, federal agencies, and other organizations stay at the top of their game. And here's what I've learned. Most teams don't fall apart because of a major event. They fall apart because leaders stop nurturing what's working. Again, this is the Executive Pill podcast where we deliver proven leadership strategies for high impact leaders. Let's dive in. So, here are the three things that every executive must do to sustain high performance. First, invest in what's working before it breaks. When trust, engagement, execution is high, most leaders ease up. But the reality is trust and productivity aren't permanent. They're perishable. So here's the strategy that we employ with our customers that we've seen work very, very effectively. Schedule reoccurring touch points. Focus on reinforcing strengths, not just fixing weaknesses. What can this look like? This could be something as simple as scheduling quarterly stop, start, continue check-ins. If you're on this channel, you've been listening to me for a while, you know I love start, stop, continue, and that's because it's very practical. It's not theory-based. It's all very behavior-based and very technical, strategic things that you can implement today. So what we have are the organizations that we work with is it could be, again, quarterly. It could be every 60 days if they're having bigger challenges and so on and so forth. But we recommend at least quarterly for all teams. Just come together. It could be a relatively short meeting, maybe even 30 minutes, to have each individual, before they come to the meeting, think about what the organization or what the team should start doing that will increase the level of productivity, trust, and proactivity within the team. What should people or them as a team start doing that they're not doing already? More importantly, almost, is stop. What are they going to stop doing? Because the reality is, if you're going to add something to your plate, if you're going to add an initiative, add a behavior, add something, it is going to require you to dedicate resources, time, energy, effort, and focus towards it. And if you have a highly functioning team, they're probably busy already. So then you also have to identify what you're going to stop doing. What things are not working? What things are not going to push you towards that goal that you said is so important to you? What things are nice to have, but they're not having an impact? Or what things are actually harming the team, right? So have them think of beforehand, what should they stop doing? And finally, what should they continue doing? What's working really well that we want to double down our efforts on? Because that's an easy win. If everyone's in agreement that something they're doing, the cadence, how they're communicating, how they're working together, whatever it may be, if they say it's all working, everyone's on board, then do more of it. It's working. So that's an easy win. Start, stop, continue meetings. Again, you could do it every 60 days. At the bare minimum, we recommend people come together, again, for 30 minutes every quarter. That's literally 30 minutes. And what is it, for 2 hours a year? If your team's productivity is important to you, then you should be able to carve out 2 hours a year to talk about what's working, what's not working, and how to improve that. And finally, once you've made the decision on this, don't rely on motivation when you can rely on automation. That is, so many people get an idea, like even right now, you're hearing this, you're like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna remember to do this. And we're gonna come together. I'm motivated. We're passionate. We're ready. And then you forget, or you're tired, or you're bored, or you're not feeling it anymore. That's motivation. The challenge with motivation, again, motivation is great. I'm not saying it's bad. But the challenge about motivation is that motivation is based off of emotion, and emotions come and go, right? And so if we want to be much more intentional and strategic with our efforts, we want to rely less on motivation and more on automation, something that is going to happen regardless of how we're feeling. So if you've decided that you're going to have these quarterly check-ins, then put it on the calendar today. Put it on everyone's calendar, and you should not move it. It should be something that you all agree, this is important to us. We all need to plan around this. Unless the skies open up and the business gods come in and say, hey, look, we're doing a merger and acquisition, whatever it is that we're working on right now, and we have to do something crazy, or we're flying across the world. Got it. Adjust as needed. Don't ever delete it from your calendar. But I encourage you, focus on automation instead of motivation. Okay, here's the second. Design systems that prevent decay. Look, don't wait for fires. Build the sprinkler system now. If communication is strong, embed it into a system. Don't rely on culture alone. And here's the thing about culture. Culture is nothing more than behaviors that are repeated very often. Just behaviors. And if you understand what those behaviors are, then you can then target them and build systems around those behaviors that support those behaviors, that don't get in the way of those behaviors. And the best part about this is if you take the time on the front end, again, this is what we teach our clients. It's what we've done and we've seen that work. If you take the time on the front end to identify those behaviors and build in systems that promote those behaviors and don't hinder them, then when you have new employees come in, they are already into that system. They know what behaviors are desired. They know what's appropriate. They're not having to figure these things out. And so it makes your onboarding process that much more effective. And again, we all know that if you lose an employee, it generally costs the organization at least 6 months of their salary. To replace them. And it doesn't even count in the fact that, the workload that gets passed on to someone else, and now their efforts and their energy and their morale start to go down, and so on and so forth. And then the pile-on effect, if you have more than one individual to leave at the same time, now other people may feel like, is this a sinking ship? Do we need to go? Should I go now before they have me go? Right? So it's just, there's only benefit in identifying those behaviors that you want to promote and building systems around it. Again, this could look something like doing trust check-ins every 60 days, a leadership alignment exercise every quarter, productivity scorecards tied to project execution. As part of the work that my team does with executive teams, so we focus on how do you help executive teams work faster, more productively, while also saving money and making more money for an organization. We have a scorecard that we implement in every organization when we start working, and it's all tied to trust, proactivity, and productivity. And so again, if you're interested in that, please reach out, team@gpsleadership.org. And we're happy to talk to you about that scorecard and show and walk you through it. Finally, most organizations call GPS after things go wrong. Prevention is always less costly and more effective than having to recover and or revive an organization that is going down, right? Because even if you revive the organization, that doesn't change the fact of all the months and or years that it wasn't operating at peak capacity, the opportunity cost and or the customers lost or the revenue lost because you weren't operating at a place where you could have been operating. So number 3, finally, recognize that growth is not passive. Growth takes effort. Decay doesn't. If you're not consistently reinforcing your culture, your strategy, and your leadership, you're drifting. And drift leads to disengagement. You know, I think of a client that came to us at GPS Leadership Solutions saying, look, we don't know what happened. Last year we were killing it. This year everything's fallen off. You know, my team came in, we ran a quick assessment just to understand, you know, where the team members were, how they were feeling, what's been going on, what were the rumors. And very quickly found that trust had been eroded, right? Productivity was down, communication was vague, the execution had slowed. What happened? Nothing drastic, just a slow decay from leadership, not actively nurturing the team. The good news, with the right structure, they rebuilt, right? But it took way more effort than it would have if they had invested earlier. Again, growth doesn't happen by accident, and decay doesn't ask permission. Again, you know where I'm going with this. We always end our sessions with a start, stop, continue, right? Because again, everything we want to provide you on this channel, we want to provide you with technical know-hows, mindset change, but we also want you to walk away being able to do something, okay? So here's your start. I'm encouraging you to start proactively investing in what's already working in your team. Start proactively investing in what's already working in your team. Stop assuming current performance will maintain itself. Again, nothing in nature stays neutral. It is either growing or decaying. And if you are not being very intentional with growing and strengthening your team consistently, that means your team is moving down, is decaying, is becoming less effective. Trust is going down, proactivity is going down, productivity is going down. That is just, that's a law of nature. And finally, I want you to continue checking in on trust, communication, and alignment regularly. If you're doing that, continue doing it. It's a good thing. There is literally no downside to it. Look, here's the bottom line. Good is not a guarantee. It's a signal that to double down on development before decay begins. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone. Make sure they understand that if it's set a certain way for you, if you got something of value that you know that they'll get something of value from it too. And especially share it with someone who's responsible for keeping teams strong. You know where I'm going with this. I appreciate all of you. As always, stay strong, stay positive, and definitely stay moving. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Executive Appeal with Alex Tremble. I invite you to follow The Executive Appeal wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow me, your host, Alex Tremble, across all socials or via email for exclusive webinars, courses, and speaking engagements on continued topics of executive leadership. So, until next time, stay strong, stay positive, and definitely stay moving.